Welcome to today's folding knife video, which is something quite special and long overdue, I should say. This is my first experience with folding knives from Olamic Cutlery, or Olamic Tactical as it states here on this pouch. So I have some previous experience with Olamic Cutlery and their fixed blades. I have two of them, and those two fixed blades are actually, in my probably my top 10 most fanciest knives. So I know that Olamic can make some really special and beautiful blades. And I've been thinking about picking up a folder from Olamic for quite some time. Started off by looking into the Wayfarer and some other models. Then this one, the Rainmaker, caught my eye, but for some reason I never really pulled the trigger. I was recommended this brand by the owner of DLT Trading, where I get most of my knives, as most of you people know. But I always ended up getting something else instead. And in terms of folders, for example, I ended up getting like a Chris Reeve, Rick Hinderer, Spartan Harsey folder, etc. So for some reason, this particular maker and specific model, it just got pushed and pushed, and well, today, or not today to be honest, but a few days ago, I ordered my first folder from Olamic Cutlery, the Rainmaker Dagger, and I went with the classic Dagger design. There are a few different versions with like harpoon design and drop points, etc. But I wanted to go with the classic Dagger design for several reasons. So let's unbox this knife. I've already done some unboxing. I've already put this knife to some use actually, but first things first, right? So this is when you get your knife, or at least when you get the Rainmaker, this is the pouch you will get for it. Quite, sturdy, feels secure. Then we open it up like this, and here we have the knife presented, well wrapped, to be honest, really well wrapped. Probably the best wrapping I've seen so far from any maker. So some history first, perhaps. Let's just when we do the history, let's have the knife visible as well, because it's nice, right? So the Rainmaker here, it was the second folding knife model to come out of Olamic Cutlery California shop. So it was originally released in May 2015, so that's almost like 6 years ago. And that first run, I think, was around 100 pieces. So not a ton of them made either. The knife here was designed by Alexander Biryukov. And the idea here was to have like a straight knife, but with character. And that it would have like a slim handle that would carry well in the pocket. And that it would have like this really long blade efficiently hidden in this semi-slim handle of sorts. So that was the initial run back in 2015. Since then we have seen some upgrades in steel, handle materials, handle, not the real design perhaps, but the different patterns and textures and stuff going on here. So that is that's just some history about this knife and design. But let us take a look at the specs, or perhaps I can specify the handle specifics and stuff of this one. So this is a 5-hole, 5-hole pattern with the bronze accents. The handle here is titanium with a frosty frosty looks to it. I think it's called frosty, like, frosty handle. And like I said, titanium and the blade steel is my favorite steel used for folders. And that is, well, if you know me by now, you should know that it is M390. So that is quite a chunk of M390 and titanium, to say the least. So let's go over the specs here. As most of you guys already know, just by looking at the knife in my hands, this is not a small knife. This is a really large knife. Not a bad thing at all. I mean, it does feel lighter and smaller than it is, but it is a large knife. So what we have here is a, let's see, a overall length of 9.77 inches. We got a close length of 5.52 inches. We have a blade length of 4.18 inches. You don't see many folders these days. I don't own many folders with a blade length even close to 4.18 inches. That is a long blade. So the blade thickness, and that might be semi-tricky to see here, but let's do like this, because like I said, I went with a full dagger. This is not sharpened up here. I mean, it is a dagger design, but this is just a super fine swedge or a false grind, but it's not sharpened. You will not cut yourself on this. But the actual blade thickness can be seen here. And the blade thickness is 0.146. So it's not, I mean, it's not super thick to begin with, but suitable for this type of design, I'd say. And with this grind here, I mean, it's, yeah. And the blade finish here looks almost, I mean, it's not really a mirror finish, but it's really nice satin polish. Quite spectacular in my opinion. And the weight of this knife is, let's see if I have specified here. It is 4.7 ounces. And I think I have to use my own scale to figure out what that means in grams. So it's 150 grams. Which is, I mean, it's not a super light knife, but then again, it is a large knife. And it's made in the USA, I should mention. I've had a lot of folders recently on my channel that are made in mostly in China, but I do own quite a lot of knives made in the US as well, this being one of them. I also have some European knives as well, so I do have some good variety to it, but this one is indeed US made. So let's take a closer look here at some of the details going on here. So we have this this pocket clip here, titanium of course as well, semi-deep carry, I'd reckon you could say. We have a small lanyard hole here for those who like to put lanyards on their knives. We have this bronze golden accented backspacer going on here. No real patterns or any kind of textures to it, but nice, sleek, plain spacer at that. The knife is a frame lock which can be hopefully seen here, with a lockup of, I'd say like 25 to 30% perhaps. It is a bit different, this this frame lock, especially with you know, I do have sometimes trouble finding the adequate words here, but you can see that the flipper tab here, it is like it's I'm almost sure it's gonna say it's, you know, it overlaps in some nice way, or it is, you know, it is very precision built, if I put it like that. And it's hard for me to explain exactly what I mean, but it's a bit different from other folders that I own, but it is definitely something good. It means a lot of detail went into the design of this frame lock. So let's take a look at the blade centering. And I'd say that the blade is pretty much, or it is 100% centered, which is to be expected, you know, for a folder in this price range and, you know, this maker. And the action, for such a large blade, the action is incredibly well. So it doesn't drop shut. I will say that right away. But this is brand new, and it's gonna, you know, have a small break-in period. But the opening is super nice, and I mean, it does close without any problems whatsoever. But for those who like, you know, knives that fall shut, I bet it's gonna take some break-in for it to get to that level, or some tweaking. But I would just use it, and it's gonna break in quite nicely. That I am 100% certain about. So what are my initial impressions of this one? Well, I am, you know, honestly speaking, I am pretty much blown away. Like I stated, I was recommended this maker from Jason over at DLT like years ago, or probably like 1 or 2 years ago, something like that. And I mean, he knows my knife preferences quite well, so I guess I should have just, you know, jumped on and ordered one. But there were so many other knives that I wanted to try out as well. But, you know, now that I have it in my hand, I feel like, yeah, I kind of missed out. Like 2 years ago, I should have went for this one or a similar one. I like the fact that I went with the Dagger version. I mean, it may be a bit more limited in actual use, depending on what you use your knives for, of course, compared to, for example, the harpoon grind Rainmaker. But it is, I mean, it's just so friggin' beautiful, to be honest. It is just, you know, I mean, look at this. It is perfection, in my opinion. This is just fantastic looking. And if I ever need to stab something, this is probably one of the knives I will grab first. I will say though that I'm not, you know, the guy who usually stabs things, but if the need should ever arise, this would be a good go-to knife. Then again, I mean, you can use this one for a lot of stuff other than stabbing. You know, slicing, food prep. I mean, why not? Why not? Cut open, you know, boxes, tape, paracord, types of cord, etc. Or if you just like to sit and slice paper, I bet this one will perform quite well. We're gonna check it out later. We're gonna do a sharpness test. We're gonna slice some paper and stuff, see how it performs. So overall, I just feel like, you know, the fit and finish, the grind lines, the overall, you know, attention to detail and feel of quality, the flipping action, you know, I mean, everything just feels well thought out, you know. And comfort, you know, I have large hands, size 10 in gloves. There is a lot of room on this knife, you know. You're not gonna run out of handle on this one, or I'd be surprised if you did. But there are guys with fairly large, you know, hands. So I mean, it's maybe not, you know, impossible, but it is highly unlikely, I'd say. Like I said, the comfort in hand is really nice as well. The clip, I mean the belt clip here is not, you know, protruding in any way. It feels, you know, sleek and gentle. It doesn't, you know, get in the way. You won't get any hot spots. There are no, I mean, there are no hot spots on this knife. I'd be surprised if anyone gets hot spots using this blade. No, I mean, there are no sharp edges, no sharp corners. It's been, you know, ground like that, so it is supposed to have no sharp edges, which I, of course, really appreciate. Not all knife makers do that or think about that. So let's, before we start, you know, putting the knife to use, doing sharpness tests, etc., let's do some comparisons to some other folders. And I'm gonna go with US made folders and some of the brands I just mentioned. Hinderer, Chris Reeve, and Spartan blades. I think that will make for an interesting comparison of sorts. So let's do that now. Let's start this comparison by taking out some knives here. We can start with the large Sebenza 21 from Chris Reeve. Put it like that. Next up, we can go with a Rick Hinderer XM18 3.5, which looks like this. Do we manage to get everything on camera? Maybe we should like that, like this, like that. And then we can also go with a Spartan Harsey folder. Let's go with this one. This one is pretty nice as well. This is the Plague Doctor. So as we can see from, or as we cannot see because it's actually out of view, but soon we will be able to, you know, get a feeling here of the size. So I mean, it's pretty obvious that the Rainmaker is the larger knife by far. If we should sort these by size, we should probably switch some places here and go with the Spartan Harsey folder down here. Next up would be the, I mean, they are kind of similarly sized here, so let's just go with them in this particular order. So hopefully you get like a sense of the size of the Rainmaker. So it is a large knife, but it is also kind of a slim knife, which was one of the main, you know, design intentions or purposes when this model was released originally back in 2015. They wanted to go with like a slim as possible handle, and I think they, you know, they successfully carried out that intention of sorts. So this is it for comparisons. I do have some other makers that I could compare to as well, but I think this is the most interesting comparison right now, and I kind of want to focus on American-made folders in this specific video. So which one of these 4 folders is my favorite American folder? Well, that is a tough call, because they all have their respective, pros and cons. Mostly just pros, to be honest. But I will say that the Rainmaker is, it's just, it is easily I don't like using this word, but the Rainmaker is easily the coolest knife on this table, that I've got to say. But they're all very different, in designs and in both blade designs, blade shape, handle designs, intended purpose of the knife, etc. I think they're all worth having, but they're all semi-expensive blades as well. So I guess that I think there's few people that's going to go away and order these 4 blades in the same package, so to say. So it's going to be up to, personal preferences, the kind of blade steel that you prefer. This one is like M390. The Hinderer is M390 as well. The Play Doctor, I think, is S45 VN, and the large Sebenza would be S35 VN, I believe. So it's going to be a lot of personal preferences playing a part here when picking a knife. But I will say that this one, oh man, I can definitely see myself carrying this one quite a lot for a foreseeable future. But all of them are fantastic knives. I would hate to pick just one to keep or go with. So whatever you pick, you will get a great knife. But this one is just, this one speaks to me a lot. The design is just, how many folders do you know that look like this? Quite unique. Still like this. So let's put these away. Keep the Rainmaker on the table, and let's do some different sharpness tests. So it's time for the first sharpness test here. I will say that I already put this knife to some use, sticking it into some pieces of wood and stuff like that, and just overall messed around with it. But it is of course the original edge on the knife. I have not done anything to it, and if possible, it was perhaps slightly sharper out of the box. But let's see what we can achieve with it as is now. So we're gonna start by slicing some, I don't really know what this paper, it's just a thicker kind of paper, you write notes on it. So it should be the, not a very hard challenge. So let's slice off some pieces here. Hopefully it's visible in the camera. Yeah, so that wasn't much of a challenge for the Rainmaker. Next up, we can go with some magazine paper here. The type of magazine paper that I use most of the time for my sharpness tests. Nothing special to it, just magazine paper of sorts. Oops. trying to get, you know, the full length there of the blade when cutting, so I'm not just slicing with the very same area of the edge. Let's see. Perhaps go for another page and try to do some more baby mows with knife. Maybe I need to. I'm gonna zoom out just a tad bit here. Like that. It's a bit better, I think. Yeah. Getting, you know, these more baby cuts to see if we can get them. So cutting magazine paper seems to be not, you know, a big issue for this one. It is. I mean, it is a sharp knife, absolutely. Definitely a sharp knife, no doubt. Let's see. So one more page. I feel like it's oddly satisfying, you know, slicing paper. So I think that should be sufficient for the magazine slicing. Let's go with some regular printing paper. The texture of printing paper can sometimes be more tricky than this magazine paper, actually. So let's see how it does. Running out of paper. So it will cut printing paper as well. Like I said, the texture of the printing paper, at least the printing paper that I use, sometimes make it a bit more tricky to cut. Interesting enough. So I think that is probably it for the paper slicing test. I'm not sure if I have any other type of magazine paper I can find, but other than that, I mean, I think it did a really good job slicing paper. Maybe I should try to shave some of my. Well, I have no hair left on my arms, and I'm not sure if I've grown on any leg hair since my last sharpness test with some other knives, but I'll see if I can throw something more in. Okay, so I did find some magazine paper of sort here. This should provide a real challenge, I'd say. So let's see. I mean, this is super thin and, you know, tricky slicers in general. But let's see what we can do. Nice. This actually surprises me a bit, because I feel like it's easier slicing this paper than the printing paper. And I'll say again that the printing paper that I use, that is many knives have difficulties slicing that paper, and I'm not sure why, really. This should be like the ultimate test, the thing I'm slicing now here. I can't really, fully get why it's slicing this so easy. And the printing paper proves to be a challenge. That is, or not a challenge. I'm not going to say the printing paper was a challenge. We sliced the paper completely up, but I mean, this here, I thought that this was going to be like, the absolute toughest. This is usually also really tough, slicing. But right now, I mean, this knife slices it surprisingly well. I mean, I didn't think we would see these sorts of results. Okay, whatever. This is, I don't quite get it. Now I really want to try this to shave some leg hair and stuff, because this one, to slice this type of newspaper like this, that is, I mean, this is pretty impressive stuff. Yeah, well, I mean, I think you get the general idea of the sharpness of this knife, and it's, not just the sharpness, but also its slicing capabilities of sorts. It's sharp. So I don't have a whole lot of leg hair, but I mean, I will have to make do with what is available, so to say. Will it shave leg hair? Yeah, well, it most certainly will. Let's see, it's in the camera here. So yeah, it will shave. And this looks really strange now, so I guess maybe will that make it look less strange? I don't know. Well, regardless, whether or not it looks well, it will shave the hair off your leg. There we go. So if you're looking for a dedicated leg hair shaving dagger, this could be it. Just saying, It's time for our first food prep segment with the Rainmaker Dagger. This is of course a slicing test as well, and a sort of a sharpness test. But now we are going to try it on some different fruits and vegetables. So we have some apples. Actually, we're gonna save those because I'm gonna peel these apples later. But we have a paprika, aubergine, we have some grapes, we have some oranges and tomatoes. And I think that this makes for a good test of sorts. And once we are done with this, we're gonna prepare my lunch, which is some meat. So we're gonna use it to cut some meat. And I did of course clean the knife after shaving my legs with it. So this is food hygienic whatever. So let's start slicing some different stuff here. Maybe we should start with let's start with something. Let's start with aubergine. So this one I would probably put maybe on the grill, or I'll just put it on. It doesn't matter. Let's cut into this now. We can go for some really fine pieces, we can go for some thicker pieces and doing some different stuff. So let's go for some pretty fine, like this. This is a fine, thin piece of aubergine, not really useful for, in my cooking, making them this, you know, thin, but this is not regular cooking. This is, after all, a slicing test of sorts. Now we have a couple of thin pieces, so let's go with something else. Surprisingly good ergos for working in the kitchen with a knife like this. This was definitely not what the designer had in mind, I think, when they did this knife. But heck, I mean, it's nice if you can get extra use of your knives. I mean, combat knives are semi-limited, in the uses. So I mean, we have to find other areas where we can play around with the knives. See, I'm not sure what more we can do. Let's see. Let's go like this. I'm not sure what I'm doing right now. I'm just doing stuff to see what is, what you can do, sort of. Yeah, I have literally no idea what I'm doing with that little piece, but this is the aubergine test of sorts. No, seriously, it did cut aubergine pretty well. So let's go with something else now. But it's a surprisingly nice knife to work with, and I also like it. I think I didn't mention this in the beginning segment of this video, but the choil here, that's actually a choil you can work to do some finer stuff with. Not all folders have, these full choils that fit, fat fingers like mine. I'm not sure I have that fat fingers, but still, sometimes the choils are just too small. Anyway, let's put these things aside here, and we will move on with something else. Not quite sure what, but we will find something. Let's go with the plate here. Put this here. So maybe we should go with the paprika next. I think we will do that. So here we have a red paprika. Let's do something with it. That. So let's get this out of the way. Let's see how well we can slice this paprika here. I'll try one. Give it. Juicy. Here. So if you want to make them to even finer pieces, then we can of course do that as well. Dice them a bit like this. But for my lunch, I kind of want to keep them, about this size. So I'm gonna let these be. And then we have these small pieces that work as well. Mix them there. So next up we should go with a tomato, I think, or two. Yep. So there are many ways we can cut. We have two of them, so we can cut them a bit differently. But let's go for thin slices all around. Like, well, semi-thin at least. Not the thinnest, but still thin enough. Let's, I don't know. Some random pieces like that as well. And with this one we can do something. Maybe dice it up a bit. It's a bit mush here, so. And oh well, I don't know. Let's go with a bit like this. So now we have some different sliced up tomatoes as well here. Add them to the plate here. Not that piece, I don't want it. Those. This will work as well. And this is actually, I'm not sure I want those. I'm gonna have to bring some paper towel. Give me just 1 second. So now I'm back with some paper towel. It always gets kind of slimy. Can't find the right word. So we're gonna remove that. Clean up the cutting board just a tad bit. Might as well clean up the blade a little. And then we can proceed with some fruits instead. And I think starting off with some grapes, perhaps. Really sweet grapes, nice. So I mean, most of the time you don't really stand and slice grapes, so this is obviously just a test of the knife here. So let's see what we can accomplish. Speaking of big fingers, yeah. So that was, some semi-interesting slicing going on. Let's yeah, I don't really know what we're gonna do with these. Maybe just cut some up and it just goes through like melted butter. Really, effortless, I'd say. Still small. Let's see. I seriously think I'm gonna make this or name this folder my new dedicated kitchen knife. I've got to say I didn't really see that coming. But the way the blade works, the handle design, and just the general comfort here, man, it's surprisingly nice to work with like this. Not that I'm standing and slicing grapes like this most of the time, but still yeah. So what do we have left in terms of vegetables? Well, yeah, we have the oranges. Let's go with them. Just gonna have to try one of these. Pretty sweet. Maybe too sweet for my taste, but still tasty enough. So now we have a few pieces like this. Let's go with some full circles perhaps. No normal person does like this unless it's part of, you know, a special dish or, you know, cooking. But it is a good test of the edge and, you know, the blade geometry, etc. As you can see, we're getting some really nice thin pieces here of this orange. This one is not so interesting, so we'll remove that part. Then we can, let's do something else. Should probably remove that. And yeah, let's try to cut the meat out, keep the skin on. Let's see, it's just pretty much just the skin here. And then we got a piece of pure meat. Fruit meat, that is. So cutting up an orange with this knife, well, quite easy. Let's, I'm not sure if I should peel an apple now or if we should go with the meat because I kind of want to make my lunch. So I think we're gonna switch over from fruits and vegetables to meat now. Yep. This here on the plate. These ones, they don't even fit on the plate now, so we will just kind of toss them away. Sad but true. So we're done with this now. Next time, in a few minutes, we're gonna do some meat slicing. So it is time for the main star here of this lunch. Nothing fancy at all, but we have around, you know, 300 grams of meat to make the most of. Let's see. So let's see what we can achieve here. Usually, I mean, I could throw this entire thing and and cook it like completely like this. But for, you know, for this video, we're gonna slice it into smaller pieces and then just cook them like that. So let's go with like, yeah, it's gonna be a couple of pieces. Yeah, let's start and see what we can do with the meat here. This is my new kitchen knife. Or my kitchen folder, perhaps you could say that. I think I'm gonna call it that from now. Kitchen folder, yeah. That's gonna be tricky. Let's see what we can do. Sliding. It's too. It's probably gonna be just one piece. It's gonna be too thin, otherwise too uneven. So holy crap! Yeah, this knife is. It's really nice to work with. I mean, let's take this small piece here and cut this into some, you know, like finer bits. I mean, it's effortless. Like, you know, damn, I wasn't expecting this one to become my kitchen knife or kitchen folder. And then, I mean, if you get uninvited guests over, you can have other uses for, you know, for the blade design and, you know, the complete design, so to say. So really, you know, really, wow. If you're looking for a food prep folder, look no further than the Rainmaker. Holy crap! So now I'm gonna eat this complete lunch here, and then I'll see if we can figure out something else to do with the knife. And after that, I think it's time for some, you know, final thoughts and conclusions. But yeah, until then, bon appetit for me. We are now out in the woods, and I reckon that some people would say, like, you know, a knife like this shouldn't be brought out. It's too beautiful to, you know, risk getting rain or anything on it, or snow or ice or dirt or whatever. But I don't really work that way. I like to bring the tools with me when I buy something, regardless of how fancy or expensive it is. And when making a review like this, I also kind of like to bring a knife so I can actually show it being put to some sort of use. And the last segment I made for the video, it was the food prep segment. We did the fruits and vegetables, and then we did the meat. And I also had a couple of apples. So now I want to try to peel an apple here on the camera. And after that, maybe we can do some sort of, you know, wood related tasks. If not, I'm gonna give my final thoughts and, you know, my conclusion about this specific model. But let's start with the apple peeling, I think. So here we have a green apple. Not quite sure which kind of apple, to be honest, but it's an apple. And let me zoom in just a bit to make it easier to show on the camera. Switch position as well. Is this good? This is probably better. So I'm gonna say right away, I have never claimed to be an apple peeling expert. In fact, I don't really understand the people who peel their apples, especially when out in the woods like this, but it is a good, perhaps a good test of sorts, so that's why we're gonna do it. Yeah. So let's see. Are we in focus? Are we in camera? Yeah. I must realize I can't move my arms too much, or it's not going to be visible in the camera. Oops. So the first, I mean, this is actually pretty good by my standards. I've got to say that. That's probably a first. So now there are just some, you know, some small random spots here. Nothing special to it. I mean, depending on how fine you want it to be. I don't know. So here we have a peeled apple. Took about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. Let's see. Some larger pieces here of peel. I'm trying to be, you know, quite an artist here, but it's not working out really all too well. Or maybe it is. There we go. Apple peeled. Seriously, I mean, I think this is actually one of my better peeling attempts, because I have done this with a few different knives, and this was probably the one that did it the best, I'd say. So yeah, that is the apple peeling test. Let's see if we can do some random woodwork. It would be kind of nice to get that in the video as well. So with the apple out of the way, we can now move on to woodwork of some sort. And we have some pieces of pine here. These are actually, I found them, I used these ones for another review and then tossed them away in the wood. So I know that it is possible to make semi-decent, you know, shavings of these if you have the right tool for the job. So, and whether or not this is the right tool, well, we will soon find out. Let's see if I can zoom in just a bit. Something like that, huh? So, I mean, this is obviously not a bushcraft knife. I mean, you do have a fine tip, and that is usually something that we appreciate in bushcrafting. But other than that, I mean, it's not really, not your typical bushcraft knife. Also, even if you have good grips like this with the choil and everything, the full top swedge here will make it, you know, slightly uncomfortable after a while if you press your thumb against it. But let's, you know, just for the heck of it, let's see if we can shave the bark here of this piece of pine. Oh my god, did you see that? That's a nice little feather. But we're gonna zoom in even more actually. I think that's about how much we can zoom in actually. So let's continue this surprising test here for feathers. This knife is full of surprises, I will tell you that much. These are actually better feathers than I've gotten from some of my other knives that are, you know, built to make feathers. Built as, you know, outdoor knives. This is the kind of feathers you want. Very surprising. Maybe I should put this one up against, you know, some of my best bushcrafting knives instead. See which knife makes the best feathers. But like I stated, you know, we're getting some really good feathers here. But pressing the thumb here on the top swedge, and it is not, you know, the nicest of grips. But if you were out in the woods, you did bring like matches or a fire steel. I'm not gonna try this on a fire steel, but if you did bring matches and you needed some nice feathers, well, obviously this knife would be able to provide feathers. No doubt. I mean, these are really nice. Let's see. These two. I mean, need a fire going? You will get a fire going with this. These are fine feathers. This knife is full of surprises. Why I didn't get one earlier, I do not fully understand. But I can tell you that I'm gonna get 1 or 2 extra now, because this is probably becoming what I think is my favorite folder out of all my folders. Could that be it? Bizarre, you know, but it's the truth. This is extreme. I mean, I want to make some more feathers here. Hold on. This is, I mean, yeah, I definitely did not see that coming. Definitely not. Holy hell. Wow. Very, very surprising, actually. If you should go into like some, you know, final words or conclusions of sorts, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna remove this over here a bit. I want to say that this knife has been full of surprises since, you know, the second I picked it out of the box. You know, just it spoke to me in some sense. I mean, I have been looking at this model for some time, but you know, just, you know, seeing it in person, picking it up, you know, feeling it in hand, the ergos, the comfort, opening it up for the first time, the action, the grind lines, you know, just the entire package here, you know, the grip possibilities, the blade steel, the blade finish, everything. It's just, you know, this knife speaks to me on so many levels. And the thing is that I mean, I would have liked it a lot even if it didn't, you know, perform that good with the food prep parts and with feather sticking, etc. But now that it has proven itself to me that it is such a capable design, yet so beautiful, I'm not gonna lie, this is, I'm probably gonna have to make, you know, a special video where I talk about all my, you know, folders or my favorite folders. But right now, if there was one of my folders, if I only could keep one of my folders right now, this is the one folder I would keep. And I have a lot of nice, high quality folders, but this is just, this is something special. And I mean, I guess I am late to the party. I mean, Olamic Cutlery has been around for a while. They have, you know, a lot of different designs and, you know, but this one, I'm gonna get an extra or two. I might get one with a harpoon grind as well, just because, but I will definitely get one more with the pure Dagger design. If you get the harpoon design, you will get more of the, you know, the full thickness here. There's not going to be a swedge or a false grind like that, which will make it slightly more usable or useful, or yeah, usable in situations like these where you place your thumb there on the spine. But to me, this knife is wow. I am not easily impressed these days. Not in terms of fixed blades, not in terms of folders, but boy, this knife impresses me. And I can't say that about many folders these days. If you have no experience with Olamic Cutlery, this is a brand I highly recommend you to look into. You know, the feeling, the fit and finish, the materials, the whole package. This is the real deal. Highly, highly recommended.